Hello everyone and welcome. Today I will show you how you can actually mod your original Game Boy Advance, the original first model, with a brighter LED screen the way it should be, or it's supposed to be. I don't know what Nintendo was thinking back in the day when they first released this console, because it's a fantastic console. It's very comfortable in your hands, and some consider it to be the best Game Boy there is, aside from a tiny little detail, which is the screen. The LCD screen is notoriously dark in the original model, and yeah, people don't like that, especially in this day and age when we have smartphones with HD capabilities and very good backlit screens. So yeah, this is what we're going to do now. Nintendo originally fixed their mistake by releasing the Game Boy Advance SP or SP later on, which is a very excellent console, and some people may even like this model way better than the original. But they still didn't fix the screen problem. What they did is, or at least this is a, look at that. This is a, when you buy one of these, if you're not sure what model it is, always look here at the AGS number. If it says AGS 001, it is one of the first generation SP models, and that means it has a backlight screen, but not as good as the 001 model. There you can see. It's still playable. At least it's way better than the screen for the original Game Boy. Well, I will make a comparison. Well, I don't know if you can see it clearly, but it's a little bit better than the original model. So yeah, great console, but still way too dark to be enjoyed. So what is the just look at how dark it is. I mean, it's really dark, trust me. Coming from a smartphone or from the later released AGS 101 model, this is actually the one Game Boy SP you want to get. If you still can find one on eBay, their prices went up significantly because of the better screen. And if you are looking for this one model, just make sure it says AGS 101 right here. AGS 101, okay. And this one has a very excellent screen. I will demonstrate. Just look at it. And this is with the brightness on. You can't even compare it to... Wait, I will put them down and show you a direct comparison. I mean, the difference is day and night. And this one also has two illumination modes. Like, this is with the light off and this is with the light on. And it's a fantastic console. So if you find an AGS 101 on eBay and you get it around 60 euros, then you should definitely get it. But today what we are going to do is we will replace the screen of the original Game Boy Advance with an aftermarket illuminated screen I grabbed from eBay. It's not the original AGS 101 screen you can find in the AGS 101 console, but it's pretty similar. It's an aftermarket screen. You can get it on eBay for around 50 euros. And what we are going to do is we will put this screen into the Game Boy Advance. This is a pretty beat up console. I got it from eBay. I think the battery cover behind it's broken, and it came from a smoking household because it's pretty yellowish. So I will replace the case with a Super Famicom case I also got from eBay. Looks much better, and of course when we are done it will have a brighter LCD screen similar to the AGS 101, which is a fantastic console. Alright guys, okay, so there are a few things you will need for this modification. Mainly if you are planning to exchange the shell and the screen, you will most definitely need a some kind of tool or a little just a Phillips screwdriver with a flat head, very tiny for smartphones or for cellular phones. Then a pair of tweezers, of course, they always come in handy if you have to adjust the ribbon cables. Then of course if you buy a replacement shell or the screen, it will come with a tri-wing screwdriver. There it is guys, it's the tri-wing screwdriver to remove those tri-wing screws on the Game Boy Advance, and a cross Phillips screwdriver there is also. So chances are if you're ordered a replacement case or the screen, it comes with those two things. Okay, also very important to secure the screen on the shell. I advise you get some double-sided tape for smartphones or for cellular phones. And of course you will need a soldering station to solder the ribbon cable, or there is the ribbon cable or adapter which connects the replacement screen with the motherboard of your Game Boy Advance. It has a secondary power source, and this one needs to be soldered on the motherboard itself, and for that you will just need a soldering station. Okay, the screen itself, as I told you, is an aftermarket screen from China. It took roughly 2 weeks to get shipped here to Germany. It comes with those two screwdrivers you need to replace that, and a glass screen. This is like glass for your Game Boy Advance SP. Since I'm using, or for your Game Boy Advance, the SP is that one. Since we are using a replacement shell that imitates the Super Famicom or Super Nintendo, I will be using this glass screen over here or I think this is what, like plastic, but if you prefer the glass one, go ahead. It's a modification anyway. So yeah, that's pretty much what you will need. And now I will show you how we will disassemble the Game Boy Advance. One last word is there are actually two kinds of motherboards the Game Boy Advance uses. There is one where you can, or you should use a 32 pin adapter, and then there is this model I have over here which requires a 40 pin adapter. How do you find out? Well, let me show you. If you open up your Game Boy Advance at the back here, and I don't know if you can see it, I will remove the batteries. Hold on. Alright. If you look at the back of your Game Boy Advance, there is some kind of serial number over here. If it starts with a 0, like my model, you will need a 40 pin adapter. Alright? So 40 pin adapter if it starts with a 0. If it starts with a 1, you will most definitely need a 32-bit adapter. So always make sure, if you're going to hunt down for a replacement screen or even an AGS 101 screen from your old Game Boy Advance SP model, make sure that you read the number from your Game Boy Advance, and if it starts with a 0, you will need a 40 pin adapter like in my case, and if it starts with a 1, you will need a 32 pin adapter. Okay, so having this out of the way, let's show you how we open up the Game Boy Advance and do the modification. So before we proceed, you just make sure you remove the batteries, check your serial number once again, to make sure you have the right kind of ribbon cable adapter, and then of course if you have a game, remove the game. Alright, and you will need your tri-ring screwdriver. It's right here. And on the Game Boy, it's a simple console. There are like 6 tri-wing screws. I will remove them real quick. Alright, and once all 6 of them are removed, there is one more which is under the battery cover over here. For that one you will just need a Phillips screwdriver. Just unscrew it. Oh, hold on. That's the wrong one. There you go. All right. So put them aside carefully because we will need them later on for the new case. Alright. Okay, once all 7 screws are unscrewed, you can pretty much lift the whole back cover of the Game Boy Advance. You should also take out the cartridge protector if you like, if you want to use it in your newer case for originality's sake, you know, because I will use the membranes for the original membranes on the newer case. So take it aside. There is the battery cover, comes off. This one you could also remove, of course, the original sticker with a hair dryer and put it into your case, but I won't bother because it doesn't bother me so much, so put that one aside. Alright, and here we have the motherboard exposed. One thing, you want to take out those 2 side plastic things. Then of course this is the power button. Put it over here, and the 2 shoulder buttons, L and R. So once you have removed those, we'll have a closer look at the mainboard itself. The Game Boy Advance, as mentioned, isn't such a complicated console and is very robust. This is one thing I like about this particular model. And here now we can clearly see that the serial number starts with a 0, so it means this ribbon cable over here has 40 pins, and we will of course use a 40 pin adapter to connect the newer screen in this one over here. And later on we will connect the power cable of the screen to this solder point over here where it says R12 here. Alright, so there is one more thing I need to mention before we unscrew the 3 screws that hold the motherboard in place. There are, like, if you look clearly, there are like 2 hooks holding the ribbon cable in place. Just make sure you gently press them up. Alright, don't force it or something. If you have longer fingernails, you can do it with your fingernails, but I will just use the screwdriver over here. Just gently put them up, not to scratch anything or don't break your console, you know. Alright, so once they go up, you can gently take the ribbon cable out, just like that, okay? And if you have done that, we will unscrew the 3 screws. Okay. All right. And once the 3 screws which are holding the motherboard in place are removed, you can lift up the motherboard very gently. And as you can see, oh, the speaker, it's pretty dusty. Let's put it aside. We will deal with the soldering later on, because and of course you just remove the membranes. We will use this one in my case, in my newer case, for authenticity's sake. But of course we'll remove the buttons to make it look like a Super Famicon. Just put them aside, remove them. And A, B button come off. And also don't forget there is your power LED indicator over here. Remove that one. I always forget about this one here. So now if we have a closer look at it, the one thing I forgot to mention, you will need, you have to, or first of all, let's just remove the screen. For that you need a screwdriver of some sort, and just gently lift the screen up and it will come right off. There is like a, and make sure you don't touch the screen. Also make sure you wash your hands and have a dust-free environment. Remove this protector over here because we won't need it. Alright. Yeah, just don't touch it. Just be very careful not to touch it. And this is the original screen. Now, if you have a look at the original screen and the newer model or the aftermarket, you will notice, let's put them side by side. You will notice that the backlit screen is much darker and bigger than the original screen of the Game Boy Advance, which means we have to use a cutting edge or a cutting tool to modify the case of the Game Boy Advance. In this case, because I won't be using this one over here, and be aware of that. We will be using this one, the Super Famicom case. Remove the buttons. Alright guys, so in order for this screen to fit in a Game Boy Advance case, we actually have to cut out some of the plastic over here and trim it down, because as you can see, I could fit in the original screen into the replacement case. It fits fine. Fits right in, you see, but you cannot fit in the, it's too big, the aftermarket backlit screen. It will fit here, but down here, as you can see, I will show you, we have to trim over here, and there, and I will show you how we do that in my next step. I marked the plastic which needs to be trimmed. Basically this part over here needs to be removed completely, and also those plastic things over here. Well, you could do it with a Dremel tool if you have the patience, or I saw in other videos you can use a cutter to cut through it, but I think one of the best ways to do it is you just need to get a trim tool set like this one over here, and it will have some edges that you can use, some blades you can use to trim down that plastic. Just make sure you don't cut yourself and be very careful. I will be doing this off camera, but basically what I will do is I will just remove that border over here. If you're not comfortable with this, I advise use something like a clipper or anything, just don't cut yourself. Okay? So I managed to actually remove all of the lower side. As you can see here, I trimmed it all the way. It went pretty smooth. Actually, it went smoother than I had anticipated, and I only used this cutting tool. So if you have a very sharp knife, it could also work. So I trimmed all of the lower parts. Let's see, compare it to the original. As you can see, basically all this here, well, it's a clear case, but I trimmed this one, this part over here, and yeah, it went very nice. So once it's trimmed, there is one more thing you want to do. You pick up a pen, you know, with black color, like the one I have here for inscriptioning CD-ROMs or DVDs, and you paint this edge over here all the way. Reason being is when the LCD screen is installed, there won't be any excess light bleeding through. Okay, so that out of the way, we can also test if the screen is fitting, but it should fit just fine. Just take it like that, and yep, it fits perfectly. See what I meant with those edges? It's perfect black, so nothing will reflect or bleed through. Okay, another interesting thing I found out is, remember earlier when I said you will need something like double-sided tape? Well, it's good to have, like this one here over here. Well, it's good to have, but it's not optional, because what I found out is that rubberized material, which is used in the original Game Boy Advance, can actually be used on here, and we will actually use it. And the nice thing I found out is, if it's dusty and with particles or what else, you just go under running tap water and you just clean it under running tap water, because you see this rubberized material, it's not like it's glued or something, it's just very thin rubber which has an adhesive effect, you know. And you just look at it, one side is thicker than the other, like this one here is thinner and this one here is thicker, and you want to take your case like this, and the thicker side goes to your right where the cross is. And you take it, and it has a tiny notch over here. That one goes at the bottom. And you just fit it in. Just like that. So you could actually use some double-sided tape if you like to, or you use this method. I know some people said it increases the thickness, but I made a cold run on the screen and it did work. So we'll stick to it because I like it. One particular thing I like about it is you don't if you need to reassemble the screen or something, you don't have to, you know, to undo the double-sided tape if you use double-sided tape. So there is that. Fits perfectly. Just make sure you align it with the screen. And my next step is actually pretty important, and I honestly don't know why a lot of people don't mention it so far, but it's pretty effective, and I recommend anyone who is into repairing cellular phones or smartphones or any kind of electronic equipment, is to create an dust-free environment. And what do I mean by that? I mean, you don't really want to touch the screen, and you don't really want to have any kind of dust under. Once I remove the plastic, you don't want anything, and for that we will need a room with a dust-free environment. And what better is fitted for that than your bathroom, guys? Here is a very good advice I give you all. You just go to your bathroom, you let your shower run with very hot water for around, let's say, 10 minutes. It will create steam, and that steam will clear any particle in your bathroom. And so you don't run the risk of particles flying around and something like that. And this is what we are going to do. I let the water run in my bathroom, and we will move to my bathroom and assemble it. So now I'm in my bathroom over here. I let the shower run for around 10 minutes. It's very steamy in here. So as you can see, the mirror is all steamy, which means this is a dust-free environment. So make sure your hands are very clean and your toilet seat is very clean. You can also grab a chair or something like that, and let's put it down here and assemble it on a chair if your toilet seat isn't like mine. But basically this environment right here, there is no dust in the air, so it's a perfect environment for us to assemble the screen, and we won't have to worry that any kind of dust gets under the screen or anything. I always use this method when I apply protective covers on smartphones, and it worked all the time. No dust, no nothing. This is a very excellent method. Once you're here, one thing we want to do is, of course, remove the protective film. As you can see, there was already dust on it, and it should be perfectly clear. Alright, then we take it. Just make sure you don't touch the screen at all, and there is no dust in the atmosphere, so it should be fine. Then you carefully put it up here and adjust it, let it fall down. Once this is done, you carefully adjust it, like that. There you go, guys. There you go. Perfectly. Okay. Now press it down gently, and now we will take the cover, Super Famicom cover, and we will peel off the tape at the back like that. Just peel it off gently, right? And of course the screen as well. There you go. Don't touch it, just take it off. And now all you do is make a last check. If there is no dust, it should be very clear. And you take it, guys, and drop it slowly. There we go. And it should be dust free. Of course, there is still a layer over here. We will peel it off at the very end, but it should be dust free. So, looks very, very nice, very clear. Wow. Now we will move back and reassemble everything. And yeah, I hope you learned your lesson with the dust-free environment. I will go get a drink because it's very hot in here. Alright, yeah. And I'm back here, back from my bathroom after installing the screen in the new case. And we will do a very quick cold run to see if the screen is actually working. And if you noticed, I haven't connected the power cable for the screen. I'm just curious on how it looks. I just put it in together, slapped into batteries and Castlevania, and we will just see how the screen performs. This is just to test the screen, so when I assemble it, I can make sure that everything works. And it looks perfect so far. I mean, look at the screen. And the cable is not even connected. Wow. Obviously I can't press the start button because I haven't inserted the buttons, but so far the screen looks fantastic. I mean look at it. Wow, impressive, very, very impressive. So basically you don't even need to connect this one to your power point on the motherboard. Alright, so now that it's working, I will quickly try to reassemble it, put everything in place, and I will solder this cable to the motherboard, and we will be finishing up this. Wow, looks really nice. It's day and night, and this is an aftermarket Chinese screen. It's not even the AGS 101, but I honestly we will do some testing once I complete this installation. And now we will try to connect the 40-pin ribbon cable adapter to the screen and to the main board. Alright, First thing you will notice at the adapter, it has a lock over here, and at first I was a little bit confused on how to operate this lock, but you can actually open it up by holding it down, and then you take your screwdriver and pull it up and it will go up. Okay, so now it's unlocked. Okay, once it's in an unlocked position, you take your screen and your screen, or the ribbon cable of the screen, sorry, has its gold contacts over here at this side and a white finish at the other side. Make sure the gold contacts are clean. Make sure they are clean. And the white side looks up. So, because the pins are down and you want to connect it like that, with the white part up, just slide it in easy, should fit right in, and then you just put down the lock. That's it, really. It should look like that. And once it's locked, it should hold just fine. Alright, now we will try to fit in the main board back in. For that, we'll actually try to connect the ribbon cable, or let's do it at the last. Let's just put in the buttons and everything. All right, turn it upside down, so make sure you don't forget anything. All right, putting in the buttons is actually pretty easy. They only go one way in, so make sure you align them properly and you shouldn't have any problems. Like here, the A button, it goes to the left side, and then the B button goes to the right. So you can't mess this up. Then you take the original rubber pad and fit it in. Also only goes one way, so don't worry about that. Right, next thing up, you take your black D-pad button, push it right in, rubber pad should also go only one way in, like here, and align it here. Nice. Okay, what else do we have? Yeah, don't forget the light. Alright, that one goes right here. Looks like it doesn't fit. Well, then we will just use the other one. The other one seems to fit. Well, it seems the original one didn't fit into this particular case. So yeah, then just use the other one, it's no big deal. It's just a translucent piece of plastic anyway. And last but not least, your start and select switches, which is just this rubber pad over here. In blue, the original were kinda like, you see, I think the previous owner of this Game Boy was the smoker, because the case was very well yellowish. Alright, just fit it in. Okay, nice. Of course we will also do the L&R bumpers and the power switch, but we will do that last, because you can fit those in even after the motherboard was installed. I found out that it's actually quite easier to connect the ribbon cable to, or the adapter to, the main board before you can screw the motherboard back in, because you will have a harder time adjusting the cable once it's screwed in. So this is what you are going to do first. For that, it's very simple. Again, you just unlock the lock on the motherboard like that. It should be in an unlocked position. Alright, then of course you take the adapter, make sure the golden ribbon cable is very clean again, and then you just slide it in. Just like that, and then you close the lock by pressing down once here and down here. Alright, and press it down. Once you hear a slight click, it should be connected perfectly. Just make sure once more. Alright, and now we can actually reassemble it. So now it's way easier to reassemble it. Okay guys, there is something very important I completely forgot to mention, and you absolutely have to do this, and I wasn't even aware till I did some cold runs on the Game Boy Advance, and it would boot into the BIOS or the Game Boy Advance screen, but it wouldn't boot up games. And I did some research. It turns out that the backplate of the newer screen is metallic, and it will short with the main board of the Game Boy Advance. So if you remember the original screen, it had a insulation layer in order for the main board not to short with this backplate of the screen, and you will absolutely have to do the same. So you could go about it in two ways. You could either take some insulation tape and just tape the back of your screen, or you just cut off a piece of plastic and fit it into your case, or at the back of your screen, just like I did over here, and this will ensure that there is no shorting with the main board of the Game Boy Advance. Very important detail, guys, so I completely forgot about it, but you know, this is the first time I'm doing this, so we learn as we go along. So it's very important that you secure the back of the Game Boy Advance or the screen so it won't short with any components. Once it is insulated, you can reassemble it. Okay, and here I have soldered the red wire to the connection point here on this point. It's the R2 here, if you can see it. If it's like an epsilon, just connect it to the left point. Then of course you just secure the cable, wrap it around the capacitors over here. Okay, make sure everything is connected fine, and let's put in the shoulder buttons. Like the left shoulder button goes here, and the right shoulder button goes here. And don't forget about those black side things. Put them right here. This one goes to this side, to the left side. For the left side from the other side, of course. And this one goes here. Right. Then, of course, don't forget your power button. Well, it's not a complicated console, but you tend to forget some things sometimes. Alright, and then all you need to do is screw the back plate back in. I will do it off camera because I will do some check on it. No, of course you do it like that. And then we will wrap up the installation. So I finally managed to assemble the whole Game Boy Advance back to its original state. I won't lie, I had a pretty hard time assembling it back together, especially with the new case, because it seems those replica cases you get, they aren't as flush as the original Game Boy Advance cases, of course. And yeah, you know, since it's my first time modding a Game Boy Advance, I made some errors like forgetting to insulate the back of the screen and whatnot. But well, I'm finally done with it, screwed it back together. All that remains is to put a sticker on. Well, where is the sticker? There it is. So you get a sticker actually by if you get this case, the sticker comes with it. So let's see if I can apply it. Yep, seems about right. Alright. There we go. Now let's put some batteries in, some fresh batteries. And close it up. So, looks actually kind of cool, looks really great. Remove the protecting screen. Okay guys, and finally I managed to make it work completely. Turned out that rubberized how can I call it, that rubberized foam or what it was around that screen is too thick to fit the AGS 101 screen into the Game Boy Advance, so I had to completely disassemble it once again and reassemble it. And after that I had to fidget a little bit with the screws and whatnot, but it's finally working and I will show you the results. Of course I put 2 batteries in and Metroid Zero mission and just fire it off. Or no, I haven't inserted the game, my bad, sorry. I will show you. I actually have 2 copies of Metroid Zero Mission, and we'll compare it to the original Game Boy Advance, and I will show you how powerful the screen really is, or how bright it really is compared to the original. I just fired it off. I mean, you can't even compare it. There we go, guys. Works perfectly. I will tell you this, guys. This was not an easy installation. It took me almost the whole day to just find around how to fit that damn screen in, and I finally managed to make it fit. So just be aware, guys, if this is the first time you are doing this, it will be a little bit difficult. Alright, so let's test a normal Game Boy game, you know, like I have over here the Japanese version of Dragon Ball Z that only came out in Japan, original Game Boy game, but I think it's enhanced for the Super Game Boy. Just pop it in and fire it up, and it works just fine. I actually managed to finish this game. It's quite good and underrated, but it never came out in the West, unfortunately. But you can skip the text, and the fighting in this is actually pretty good. The gameplay is really nice. I recommend it if you are a Dragon Ball Z fan. Definitely get it. Love it. Alright, so this was the Game Boy game. I will show you another Game Boy game which looks really awesome on the Game Boy Advance, which is Metroid 2, also classic Game Boy game, and this one is also enhanced for the Super Game Boy, and it will look fantastic on the Advance. As you can see, I believe it even has the color scheme for, or the game cartridge itself has the color scheme for the Super Game Boy in it. Yeah, great game. Up next, we will test a Game Boy Color game. Let's see, Zelda Link's Awakening Deluxe or DX. how you call it. Yeah, looks fantastic. Alright, and if you are playing a Game Boy game or a Super Game Boy game or whatever, you can actually make the screen widescreen, but I like the original aspect ratio because it will look stretched. Fantastic game, guys. This is a true classic original Game Boy game. And it's such a joy to play on this screen. I mean, look at this screen, how sharp and bright it is. So if you're going for a modification like this, be aware that you will need some experience, and it will take some time. It took me quite some time because I thought I will do this one much faster, but apparently it took me longer. Up next we will test a original or not original or Game Boy Color only game. It says right there, it's Resident Evil Gaiden. It says only for Game Boy Color. Yeah, the Game Boy Advance plays those two, of course. Works perfectly. Yeah, I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. And I know this game is very hated by a lot of Resident Evil fans, but from a technical standpoint, I must say it's quite impressive. They managed to fit oh, my shooting is terrible. It's quite impressive they managed to fit those graphic and gameplay into a Game Boy Color game. Oh, I am running out of ammo. So yeah, and I mean, look at the graphics, the shading effects. I like it. I really like it. Okay, guys. So as you can see, this is how all those games look at the screen. Now, for the final verdict, I will make a direct comparison to the default Game Boy Advance and the one with the AGS 101 screen. Let's put them side to side. This one has Metroid Zero Mission in it, and we will take Metroid Zero Mission and put it into the new Game Boy as well. And now let's put them side by side. Okay. And fire both up at the same time. And you can see the difference right there. I mean, look at the original Game Boy, how dark the screen is. It's unbelievable dark. I mean, compare this to this. You can barely see. I mean, I can barely see. Oh, I played this game to death. I'm pretty far in. I mean, look at that. Same save state, but you see how dark the original was. I mean, what was Nintendo even thinking? Look how beautiful it looks. And now compare it to the original. Yeah, so there you can see it. It's a no-brainer, guys. So yeah, that pretty much covers my video. I know it was quite long, and if you stick around till the end, thank you very much. If you have any questions regarding this video or how to do it properly, what things to be aware of, just shoot me a message or a comment. Also, give this one a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you disliked it. I always welcome criticism, really, because, you know, I can learn from my mistakes so much more than from my victories. So yeah, guys, it's definitely worth it upgrading to your old Game Boy Advance to the brighter screen. Honestly, I can't even make a difference to the AGS 101 screen from the original. But well, you know what? Let's just compare it, because I'm really curious. Take Metroid Zero Mission. Here is the AGS 101 original. It's pretty decent. Yeah, as you can see, looks beautiful. Has two adjustments. This is very bright. This is bright. Alright. Yeah, looks fantastic as expected. Honestly, aside from having the option to make it brighter, I can't seem to spot a significant difference, but the AGS 101 it's a legendary SP. How was the Super Bomb? I can't remember. There you go. So let's see if I can make a direct comparison. Looks pretty solid overall. decide for yourself which screen you like more, but the comfort on this one is fantastic. So yeah guys, that pretty much ends my video here. Please subscribe to the channel, leave me some feedback or comments if you like, and see you guys next time. Bye bye.